For most of the time our genus has existed on Earth, being human didn't mean being alone. Multiple human species walked the planet at the same time, sometimes overlapping in the very same valleys, sometimes even meeting face to face. Neanderthals in Europe, Denisovans in Asia, a small strange island species barely over 3 feet tall in Indonesia, and us. Today, for the first time in millions of years of human evolution, there's only one human species left standing, and it's the one telling this story. So here's the real question. What actually happened to all the others? And why are we the ones still here to ask? As recently as 50,000 years ago, at least 4 or 5 distinct human species coexisted on Earth at the same time. Homo sapiens, our own species, had already spread out of Africa. Neanderthals occupied much of Europe and Western Asia, well adapted to cold climates after hundreds of thousands of years there. Denisovans, a mysterious population known mostly from a handful of bone fragments in Siberia, ranged across parts of Asia. On the remote island of Flores in present-day Indonesia, an isolated, unusually small human species survived in near-total isolation for tens of thousands of years. This wasn't a brief overlap. Different human species shared the planet, and in some regions shared the same landscapes for well over 100,000 years. Further back in time, even more species overlapped, including remnant populations of Homo erectus, one of the longest surviving human species in our entire evolutionary history, still holding on in parts of Southeast Asia until relatively recently. For a long time, scientists assumed these species simply died out, replaced entirely by more capable, more adaptable Homo sapiens. But genetic evidence uncovered over the last 2 decades tells a stranger, more intimate story. Most people with ancestry outside Africa today carry measurable amounts of Neanderthal DNA in their genome, typically around 1 to 2%, the direct result of interbreeding between our species tens of thousands of years ago. Some populations in Southeast Asia and Melanesia carry even more DNA from Denisovans, in some cases several percent of their entire genetic code. These weren't separate, isolated lineages that simply vanished. In a very real, measurable sense, they never fully disappeared at all. This discovery, made possible only through advances in ancient DNA sequencing technology in the 2000s, fundamentally changed the scientific understanding of what actually happened when our species encountered others. It wasn't simple replacement, it was, at least in part, merging. Before we continue, if this kind of question is the kind of thing you enjoy thinking about, consider subscribing and sharing this with someone who'd find it interesting too. Now let's keep going. So if extinction wasn't total and interbreeding was happening, why did these other species eventually stop existing as distinct populations? Researchers point to several overlapping pressures rather than one single cause. Rapid climate swings near the end of the last ice age dramatically reshaped available habitat and food sources, favoring whichever populations could adapt fastest. Neanderthal populations appear to have already been small and fragmented, with limited genetic diversity, making them more vulnerable to any environmental shock or disease outbreak. Competition for the same resources with expanding Homo sapiens populations, who may have had advantages in social networking, tool innovation, or sheer numbers, likely added additional pressure on already struggling populations. Some researchers have also proposed that increased disease transmission between newly overlapping populations, each carrying pathogens the other had never encountered, may have played an underappreciated role, similar in principle to disease dynamics seen in more recent history when previously isolated human populations first made contact. No single explanation fully accounts for every extinction, and different species almost certainly disappeared for different combinations of reasons. One of the strangest cases belongs to Homo floresiensis, nicknamed the hobbit after its remarkably small stature, standing barely over 3 feet tall as an adult. Discovered on the Indonesian island of Flores in 2003, This species appears to have evolved its small size through island dwarfism, a well-documented evolutionary pattern where large animals shrink over generations when isolated on islands with limited resources and few predators. What makes this case so remarkable is the timing. Current evidence suggests Homo floresiensis may have survived until as recently as 50,000 years ago, meaning this tiny, isolated human species was very likely alive at the same time modern humans were already spreading across the region. Some researchers initially doubted the find represented a true separate species at all, suspecting a pathological modern human. But continued analysis of multiple skeletons ultimately confirmed Homo floresiensis as a genuinely distinct, long isolated lineage. Exactly how or whether the two species ever crossed paths remains one of the more tantalizing open questions in human evolution. This growing body of evidence has shifted how many scientists now describe what happened to our closest relatives. Rather than picturing a dramatic, violent replacement, many researchers now favor a quieter, more gradual model. Small, already struggling populations slowly interbreeding with an expanding Homo sapiens population, until generation by generation, the distinct genetic and cultural identity of the other species simply dissolved into ours. Under this model, extinction and absorption aren't opposites. A population can vanish as a distinct group while still contributing meaningfully and permanently to the genetic makeup of the species that remains. Genetically, this means the boundary between us and them was never as sharp in practice as it appears in a simplified evolutionary chart. The line blurred considerably every time two populations met and had children together. Just how recently our understanding of this crowded human past has changed is itself remarkable. Homo naledi, a small-brained human species with a puzzling mix of primitive and modern features, was only discovered in a South African cave system in 2013. Its exact age and behavior are still debated among researchers, including controversial claims about deliberate burial practices that would suggest surprisingly complex behavior for a species with such a small brain. Every few years, discoveries like this quietly rewrite what we thought we knew about exactly how crowded and how recent our shared human family tree actually was. Discoveries like these are a humbling reminder that our picture of ancient human diversity is very likely still incomplete, and future finds could reveal species and interactions we don't yet know existed at all. So why are we the only human species left? Partly climate, partly competition, partly the fragile, uneven odds of small, isolated populations facing a changing world, but not entirely extinction, at least not in the way we usually picture it. Fragments of Neanderthal and Denisovan DNA still exist, quietly, inside billions of people alive today. Being the only human species left isn't some inevitable finish line evolution was always building toward. It may simply be where we happen to be standing, for now, in a story that has been crowded for almost all of its existence. Not to give you answers, to reveal the paradox. Every question has a story. Welcome to human mystery.